Really excited to welcome today Lisa Tuningas, the founder and CEO of Innovative Learning Group. ILG is a firm that provides learning and performance solution services to Fortune 1000 companies. It was founded back in 2004. One of the coolest things I think that I saw in this young company was the fact that even in these sort of economic hard times, this company's revenues have more than doubled since they founded it. And that's saying something, especially right now. You may be familiar with some of Lisa's work prior to founding ILG. She worked with Triad Consulting Firm, which I'm going to guess some of you are familiar with and remember well. But I don't want to take more time than I need to. Please join me in welcoming Lisa. Thank you.
My background, I thought I would give you just a little context about my personal background and then a little bit about the company that will give you some context to help you ask a whole lot of questions and make this interactive, because I want to make this, especially holy smokes, on a Friday afternoon, the day after St. Patrick's Day. 70 degrees. I'm guessing it's starting to feel like a long week for many of us. So I actually started out as a music education major and got a degree in music education from Michigan State University. So I have that education foundation. And I went to work as a school teacher and actually was a band director for a couple of years in Tawas City, Michigan, and taught grades 6 through 12, and I was 21 and barely looked any older than the students did. And at some point I decided to make a little bit of an interesting career change, and I liked the teaching part but wasn't really sure I wanted to do that for my whole career. So made a career change and went to work for General Motors. So kind of downplayed all the music part of my resume and upplayed all the community relations and fundraising and interpersonal skills and that kind of thing. And the beautiful thing then, when I learned about business, which I'd never learned about as a music major, so in getting into General Motors, I learned about business, and then what I realized is that you could do the training, the corporate training thing in an organization on the business side of the world. And then I realized you could get a master's degree in this, so I got a master's degree in instructional technology from Wayne State University. So what I don't have, though, are the deep underpinnings that all of you have in psychology and behavioral analysis. I have learned quite a bit of that along the way and read books and from Dr. Ab King and Dave Snyder and my other colleagues from Western. I've learned enough, and it's fascinating, and I appreciate the real deep expertise that you all have in that. And I think it will serve you well, kind of regardless of what path you take. So anyways, I left General Motors after about 7 years. So I would say, when I was at General Motors, I had I was in some sales assignments, learned how to be a district manager, so completely different focus than what we're all doing here. But then at some point I was able to get into the training part and trained district managers. So what I would say is then I was like an internal consultant. Okay? If you think about a job where you work for an organization and you're internal, helping improve that organization is one opportunity here in a few minutes as we talk about career opportunities. I then made kind of the switch and thought, when you're internal, often I administered vendors doing the work. And I thought, I think I'd like to be on the other side more doing the work. So I flipped over onto the vendor side and I worked for a year at an advertising agency doing training for Chrysler. And then I left that firm after just a year and went to Triad Performance Technologies, which was kind of in its heyday one of the premier performance consulting and training firms, and with a national reputation. So unfortunately, Triad went out of business. One of the many times here recently that the economy was bad. I think the economy probably started getting bad back around 2000, 2001. Did you all pay attention to the economy then, or not really? Not really. I was telling the folks at lunch, I was in college during the recession of 1980, and I don't think I understood that at all as a college student. So the economy, started getting bad in 2000, 2001, and unfortunately Triad closed its doors. 2004, Triad closed its doors. And so they told us on a Wednesday we would be laid off on a Friday. And on one hand, it wasn't a surprise. They were very open and very honest about how we were doing as a company. So at that point in time, it was, need a job. Should I start a company? Should I update my resume? So for whatever reason, starting a company seemed like the easier path. We talked about kind of the whole startup thing at lunch today. And so here we are. We just got kind of past our 7-year milestone. So it's very gratifying to be at this point. We're talking about one of the things that's important is certification. Are there certifications? Do you all have certifications or think about getting certifications? What's an example? You're nodding. Sorry to call on you.
ECBA.
A what?
ECBA.
Okay. And do others of you have that or aspire to that? Okay, that's pretty common. So what I have is called a CPT, a Certified Performance Technologist, which is endorsed by another acronym, ISPI, the International Society for Performance Improvement. And so I think that's one good opportunity for those of you interested in performance improvement as a professional organization in here. And we're going to talk some about that, the importance of getting out and about and doing more than just your studies. So meeting people and joining some professional organizations and getting some experience and how helpful that's going to be. But I actually started getting involved with ISPI during grad school. So for me in the late 80s. And really have been pretty consistently involved all along. You know, you go to a meeting, and then pretty soon, like within one meeting, right, they tag you to be on a committee. And then if you stay awake in the first committee meeting, pretty soon you can be the chair. The third meeting, you become the chair, and pretty soon you're on the board. So I've kind of come up through the ranks here in Michigan. As the president role, you do president-elect and president and past president, so it's kind of a 3-year opportunity. And then I was able to roll right in and manage the international conference, run the international conference last year, and then get elected to the international board. So I'm a director and treasurer. So that's a whole, being on a board is quite a thing. If you'd ever like to talk about what it's like to be on a board, it's fascinating, just fascinating. So that's a little bit about me. So. All right, so we do custom training and performance support. So what does that look like? As far as services, what that looks like to us, or we go into organizations and do learning strategies. So we figure out, you know, if you were in a company, you might have a marketing strategy, you might have an IT strategy, you might have an advertising strategy. So we go in, I don't know if you're familiar, there's an organization over here called National Heritage Academies, a charter school organization. So we're doing a learning strategy for them right now to help them figure out their vision for learning and governance and how they're going to be structured and how they're going to make or buy learning and performance support and how they're going to be structured as a function around learning, and then their business processes and tools and standards around learning. So that's a service. We do lots of curriculum architecture. You know what that is? It's like what you're going through right now. Psychology 101, 201, 301, where you map out the chunks. Do you use that word, chunks? It's a very formal term. Chunks of learning. Don't you think it's better than interventions? Interventions is a little geeky. We do lots of work through the whole ADDIE model. Analysis, design, development. Not so much implementation. We do lots of train the trainers, but usually our clients are the ones doing the training if it's classroom. We have a network of people, but we don't do a lot of that. And we do quite a bit of evaluation work. So with the design and development, we work across all the delivery methods, we call them. There's some companies that kind of specialize in a given delivery method, but we do classroom, we do e-learning, we do web conferencing, we do print self-study, we do podcasts and videos. And now it's very exciting, we're moving in, we're looking at more and more with mobile. And mobile, if you think about it, you know, it's okay for learning, but what it's great for is performance support. Think about this tool that you have with you all the time. It knows where you are, you know, knows what you're doing, right? Some of the languages it's talking about, it's a prothesis. It's right there. It's part of you as a tool to help you learn and perform better. So I think we're pretty excited about some of the mobile opportunities.